having a crush, an infatuation, one-itis, as some people have called it. Turns out there are a lot of beliefs that back that up, that get you backed into a corner. And through some self-analysis, I found more or less what those beliefs are and how you can transform them. So let's begin.
This is a beautiful thought.
Welcome, beautiful thinkers. I want to talk a little bit more about having a crush, getting over a crush, examining my own beliefs about why I would have a crush in the first place, why I would become infatuated with somebody when I know ultimately that it's not healthy to think that way, to feel that way. Well, it's not deeply satisfying to be like that, to feel that kind of neediness. And so after feeling that way, well, it happened a couple of times, I had to look within and say, okay, obviously there's some kind of beliefs that I have about romance or about love or about myself that are somehow limiting me or getting me into this position where I start to have certain feelings. So the beliefs I discovered with some introspection were things like this. I need someone to love me romantically to feel complete. Now, I know intellectually, I know that's not true, which I guess that's my advantage because not everybody knows that. Some people have that belief and they don't have the greater context to say, no, that's not true. Or if you do think that's true, then maybe you can start looking at your own experiences and seeing, when were those times in your life when you felt complete and you didn't have a romantic partner? Because if you think well, then you can see that there are those times and you can start to see that you can be a complete person and feel like a complete person in any time, regardless of your relationship status or financial status or any other unfortunate circumstance that might be upon you. So I know that's not true. I know I can feel complete regardless of whatever relationship I'm in or not in. I know I can love myself on my own. I can feel great and enjoy myself without a partner. Another belief, something like this woman or this person in particular must be my partner. Now, of course, that's not true. We have the cliche, there are a lot of fish in the sea, plenty of fish in the sea. We know that, we've heard that cliche so many times, but it might not really sink in with us. And when somebody tells that to us, we say, oh, it's just a cliche, I've heard it so many times, I don't really take it seriously. But if we investigate that intellectually, we can see that it's true. We can see, okay, there's, 7-8 billion people on the planet, and within your town, country, within your village, there are probably plenty of potential partners. It doesn't rely on one particular person. So we can see that intellectually. It's another thing to know that personally, emotionally, when we're in the throes of an infatuation. But that's why we look at these beliefs and we try to cut them off before they happen. Because if we have the right beliefs in place, then that will help us take the correct actions and experience the appropriate emotions to the events that are occurring. So we want to have these beliefs that help us feel happy. So having a belief like it's nice to be with this person, but that doesn't mean that this person in particular is going to end up with me, to grow old with me, have some kind of Disney marriage and run off and elope or anything like that. It doesn't mean that. So we can have a more healthy belief, which is something like, it's nice to enjoy moments with this person. And that's all. And we don't have to create a grandiose scheme or fantasize about the whole thing. We can just enjoy the moments for what they are. Another belief that I discovered within myself, similar thing, this feeling of love or like means that this woman should or must fulfill a particular role in my life. So having this conditioning from culture, or this conditioning that maybe I imposed upon myself in some form, I believe that they have to comply with my expectations. Now, people never have to comply with my expectations. And if I have a lot of expectations, that normally means I'm subjecting myself to frustration, because eventually people are going to stop complying with my expectations. So I don't have to have a particular idea about, or particular expectations about how any one person is going to act in my life, or how they're going to help me or inhibit me. I don't need to have those expectations. And of course, if I have them, if I become aware of them in the moment, and I notice, okay, now I see, I had that expectation, and that's why I feel frustrated. We can notice the feeling of frustration or disappointment or whatever it is, and notice the expectation that we had. The more we notice these expectations, the more we can see how they're not necessarily realistic and let go of them. Like so many boats at Loy Karathong. Now, having a feeling about somebody is nice. Well, these are the beliefs, the healthier beliefs that I try to arrive at by looking at what's more realistic. What can I really expect of myself and others? Having a feeling about someone is nice. It does not mean that they have to feel a certain way or do specific things. Not even that they must tell me the truth about their feelings. Not even that they must acknowledge my feelings. There's really no particular course of action that they have to take. They can do whatever they want. And how liberating is it to realize that people can do whatever they want, and I don't have to let it affect me. It doesn't have to disturb my mood. I don't have to start or stop loving them. I can feel how I want to feel, and I can be happy regardless of what happens, even if people act in a way that's different to what I expect. What a relief to have less expectations about the beliefs of others. I am complete now of myself. I can feel a broad range of emotions, including love and happiness, on my own. Now, it is interesting how a lot of the time we talk about love and it's romantic love or familiar love. Well, you're free to feel love on your own. You don't need to have anybody with you to feel love. You can love yourself, or you can even love the world. It's what we call agape. We can have these feelings of love completely on our own. Just lying there in our bed as we drift off to sleep, generating feels of love in our belly and our heart, and feeling good, feeling complete. I am responsible for my own happiness and love. My emotions are my responsibility. I enjoy my own emotions, and I don't need to depend on any other person to generate these. Having a nice feeling is simply that. It creates no obligation in myself or others. Well, that's kind of phrased negatively, no obligation. So I rephrased it to say, interpretations can be treated as separate, which I mentioned in the other episode. What does that mean? So if I have a feeling, I might also have an interpretation of that feeling. I don't need to join the two together as if they have to be linked. The interpretation can be treated as separately, and I can analyze the interpretation and say, is this really so? And maybe let go of it if that expectation, that interpretation doesn't serve me. So when we have emotions, we can treat the interpretations as separate, and that will normally help us feel more happy. I'm trying to wrap this up. The point is, love yourself and be good to yourself, and you don't need others to do that, and you don't need to place expectations on others. Just have a good time. Thanks for listening, and have a wonderful day. Have a good time. That's the important thing.
A beautiful thought.
Thanks for joining me, and thank you for subscribing on Spotify and other services. Thank you for sending a message to a friend who you think might enjoy or might benefit from this episode. If somebody's trapped up in their own belief system, you might be able to help them find a way out by sending them a message and a little explanation or a little reason for them to listen to this podcast. Most importantly, have a great day.
I wanna feel